It's an actually true, real medical fact that sounds completely fake, but it is actually really true, I promise. Sometimes babies are born without a butthole. There is a condition called imperforate anus, which is as scary as it sounds. This happens at birth, where sometimes the hole can be blocked or missing altogether, and sometimes the rectum could connect to the colon and lead to different openings, which cause some stool to come out of other areas of the baby.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. Let me break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man, who's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely, commenting down below, even if it's just to say hi. It boosts us in the algorithm, man. And most importantly, hitting that thumbs up button on each and every single video drop. I greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, seekers, man. Say it with me, y'all. Seek the truth. Okay.
Here are some celebrities with the most kids, except each time it gets bigger.
Alright.
Robert De Niro has 7 kids from 4 different women spanning decades. The youngest and oldest have a 51-year age gap between them. Alec Baldwin has 7 kids with his current wife and 1 daughter with his ex-wife, making a total of 8 kids. Clint Eastwood has 8 kids, with the oldest being born in 1954 and the youngest being in 1996. NFL player Tyreek Hill claimed that he has 10 children, but the true number is unknown because at one point, 3 different women all came forward claiming that they were pregnant with his kid, all within just 4 months. Eddie Murphy has a confirmed 10 kids with 5 different women, with the oldest being 34 and the youngest being 5. He keeps a good relationship with them all, and when he returned to SNL, all of them were in the audience. Nick Cannon is well known as being a professional breeder with 12 kids with 6 different women, his oldest being twins with Mariah Carey. And some of these names are quite interesting, like Powerful Queen Cannon, Beautiful Zeppelin Cannon, and Rise Messiah Cannon. I think he's running out of names. Bob Marley has 12 different children with 8 different women, 3 of them being with his widow and the rest being with various Jamaican women, and half of the kids all pursued music themselves. Before DMX passed away, he had a whopping 17 children with 11 different women. I guess you could say he really does have that dog in him.
This is the show.
Got that dog in him, bro. That's what they say, man. But that's just freaking crazy, bro. I kept increasing. I don't see how some people do, man. Especially Nick Cannon, bro. I saw a meme, bro, of him. This like how Nick Cannon be on Father's Day was Lucius Fox. Look at all the screens of the Dark Knight, bro. I'm just like, that's the same amount of kids. But hey, do you stay on, I guess.
Truth behind Moana. Lilo from Lilo and Stitch is actually Moana. She actually died at the beginning of the movie Moana, in the scene where her boat crashed and her leg gets stuck under a piece of coral, drowning her. And this is the reason why she's able to communicate with her dead grandmother, and also explains why she's able to follow Maui, who's a demigod, into the underworld. Maui is her guardian angel, and his task is to take her to Tahiti, which represents heaven, and the whole movie is her journey to the
Creepy urban legends that turned out to be true, part 2. A construction worker knocks down a wall only to discover a bare skeleton staring back at him. Well, in 2011, while renovating the 2nd floor of a bank, workers discovered the bones of Joseph Schecksnyder, who had been missing for 27 years. It's believed that he may have gotten stuck in the chimney after attempting to break into the bank all the way back in 1984. An old woman was buried after being declared dead, after which the body was exhumed, only for the family to find scratch marks on the coffin lid, among other signs of attempted escape. And as it turns out, premature burials were actually somewhat common in the 19th century. In fact, over 200 separate incidences were documented of people being buried alive during that time. Remember, the medical profession during that time wasn't an exact science.
5 signs you might
That's
be
insane.
genius. You talk to yourself. Albert Einstein was often found talking to himself. You worry a lot. Isaac Newton was a chronic worrywart. You have social anxiety. Charles Darwin had debilitating social anxiety. You're a night owl. Nikola Tesla only slept 4 hours per night. And you're a dreamer. Einstein's theory of relativity came to him in a dream about cows. Follow for more.
You were genius seekers? Tell me down below.
This is why why you should never stay in sketchy motels. In 2005, a young woman on a solo road trip across the country decided to stop for the night. The first place she sees is the Mountaintop Motel. It looked pretty cheap, but she was tired, so she said good enough. The check-in guy eyed her up and down very uncomfortably and then asked her if she was traveling alone. She ignores the question, pays for her room, and then walks away with the key. When she gets inside her room and sees there are literally cockroaches in her bed, she says nope and decides to sleep in her car in the parking lot. Around 3 a.m., she wakes up to see the check-in guy using his own keys to get into the motel room she was supposed to be in. A few minutes later, he storms out and slams the door and starts walking towards her car. Terrified, she hides under her blanket as the man tries to open her car doors but can't and walks away. She speeds off and calls her friend and asks her to look up the address of Mountaintop Motel so she can give it to police. Her friend's quiet for a second and then just says, "The Mountaintop Motel closed a week ago."
Where was she at, bro?
Deep web footage that got leaked.
I'm gonna have to call edit on this one. You guys know we're getting better at spotting them out. If you see any edits, man, comment down below. That was definitely an edit. I'm gonna have to call cap on that one. We're getting better and better at spotting them seekers, man, with each and every single video. I'm glad you guys have been catching on too. Like I said, we update our knowledge base together. Another one, man.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. The girl in this photo was arrested for torturing and killing animals. She filmed herself doing it and even posted it online. She hanged her dogs by their collars, nailed them to walls, and even shot them with an airsoft gun. She would then cut them open and rip out their internal organs. This sweet looking little girl is Jeannie, also known as the Wild Child, who spent the first 13 years of her life chained to a chair, and this photo was taken moments after she'd just been rescued. This normal-looking scenic painting features the ocean with the night sky. However, it was painted by Adolf Hitler, whose dream in life was to become an artist. However, he failed the entrance exam to art school and ultimately gave up. This photo of Richard Hickok and Perry Smith shows two murders after hearing that they'd been sentenced to death. They murdered a family of 4 and planned to rob them, but they found nothing worth stealing except for a mere $50. The girl on the left is wearing a wire. The girl on the right has no idea. Together they stabbed one of their friends to death, and the girl on the left confessed to the police and is now cooperating with them. Besides the pixelation, this looks like a couple getting married surrounded by their loved ones. However, all the children in this photo were horribly physically and mentally abused until a couple of them managed to escape.
This is an actually true,
Insane.
real medical fact that sounds completely fake, but it is actually really true, I promise. Sometimes, babies are born without a butthole. There is a condition called imperforate anus, which is as scary as it sounds. This happens at birth, where sometimes the hole can be blocked or missing altogether, and sometimes the rectum could connect to the colon and lead to different openings, which cause some stool to come out of other areas of the baby. If my baby started shitting out of its dick, I'd be calling a fucking exorcist instead of the doctor. Luckily, it is treatable, and to put it simply, the baby's given an artificial or enlarged hole and given a colostomy. This allows their stool to drain into a bag that can eventually be removed in a few months. What's even crazier about this fact, though, is that it's actually incredibly common with every 1 out of 5,000 babies. To put this in perspective, over 10,000 babies are born a day just in the United States alone. I'm not the best at math, but that's at least 2 babies per day born without a butthole. And to put it even more in perspective, the average NFL stadium holds 60,000 people, which means at least 12 people in that stadium have...
This is why you should never live next to crazy people.
That's a crazy
In
fact.
2015, a girl who was totally fed up with her noisy neighbors finally worked up the courage to go over there and tell them to be quiet. She knocks on the door, and out walks this insane-looking old woman who just starts hissing at her. And she doesn't stop hissing at her until the girl finally just leaves. She considers calling the police, but ultimately just goes back to her room and goes to bed. But she wakes up a couple hours later when she hears that same hissing sound. Her first thought is there's no way this can be my neighbor, because she had her door locked. But then she notices there's a big lump right next to her in her bed, and she reaches over to check who it is. Her crazy neighbor leaps out of bed and runs into the closet.
This is proof that we weren't alone. Why does this mountain have stripes?
I kind of do see the stripes on them. Maybe they just formed that way? If that's true, then who put the stripes there? That's the
It was
real
called
question.
Butter, and its size was approximately 600 feet tall. The legend is that a group of girls were out playing when they came across gigantic bears. To escape the bears, the girls climbed to the top of the summit and prayed to the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit heard their prayers and caused the rock to rise up from the ground out of the reach of the bears. The bears tried to climb up to get them and dug their claws in the rock to gain grip, but kept sliding down because it was too steep for them to climb. The bear's claws scratched the straight marks that are seen to this day.
You guys believe that story? Or think it's just a completely different explanation? I'm gonna leave that to you guys. What's this? This is gonna be interesting.
It's getting attention and stuff is kind of weird. There's no feud, so for us, it's kind of like we just laugh about it because there's nothing there.
You guys are like good friends.
Yeah, we're on an okay level. It's cool.
Are you guys ever gonna do like those dance off that Miley does with the AC/DC?
No, I'm not a dancer, so I leave that up to her.
Selena, the front neck smile. Selena, hold that right there, big smile.
But now I heard it's because she had a condition, lupus, so you know that's why she looked like that.
Honestly, this is an absolute dream come true. I literally have grown up watching this show.
Okay.
I'm 18 years old. One having phone call. This is a random having phone call, okay? Nothing too serious. If it was serious, I'd call grandma, grandpa, uncle. I never got to meet someone like that. Unserious having phone call. Who are you calling? Personally?
I bet you didn't know these creepy facts that'll probably make you uncomfortable. There are at least 6 people out there that look exactly like you. And there's a 9% chance that you'll meet one of them in your lifetime. The author of Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, kept her deceased husband's heart for almost 30 years, until she died in 1851. A year later, his heart was found in a desk drawer, wrapped in a copy of one of his last poems. A book of spells written in the 1500s details how you can actually summon the nun, who is actually a demon named Valak. In the 1930s, a baby fell from a very high up window and landed on a man walking down the street below. Both the baby and the man survived. A year later, that same baby fell from that same window and landed on the same man. Again, they both survived. Dorothy Kinnaman, a panelist on the hit TV show What's My Line, died under mysterious circumstances while investigating the JFK assassination. Shortly before she died, she was quoted telling a friend, "I'm going to break the real story and have the biggest scoop of the century. If you can't get enough of true crime and horror, you should go follow my boyfriend. That way you can have double the true crime and double the horror." He's tagged right here.
That JFK story, man, that's chilling. You know what happens to people, man, who try to expose the truth on like historical events. Sometimes people don't like it when they get too close to it, man. They'll do anything to shut that story down. I wonder what the real truth is about.
The deadliest candy in the world. This powdered candy was banned because it was basically just a jar full of lead. It was called Lucas's Mexican Candy, and it was advertised as a way to spice up your foods by adding artificial lemon flavoring. But most kids just ate it straight from the bottle. In 2004, the FDA discovered that it had twice the legal limit of lead per gram. This prompted a massive panic and recall of the entire stock of this candy, and it remains banned to this day. Like, follow, share for more strange facts.
Be careful what you eating.
So it looks like it is actually happening. North Korea is reportedly about to send 12,000 troops to Russia to fight on the front lines, and that's according to South Korea's spy agency, who labeled it as a grave security threat. Now, The reason that this is being treated as such a big deal is because up until this point, officially, both Russia and Ukraine have only received weapons from their respective allies, and this deployment from North Korea would mark the first time that a third country is directly getting involved in the conflict with actual troops. And that's a move that Zelensky called the first step to a world war.
One of my favorite Saw traditions is back. For those who don't know, for every Saw movie that comes out, they have a Saw blood drive. It's a partnership with the Red Cross. They did it for the very first Saw movie as a way to promote the film. If you come and give us some blood, we give you free tickets to see the movie. But the original filmmakers saw how successful this was. They saw how many people came out to donate blood, and they decided they wanted to do it again, but just to mostly help people than anything. And they did this for the Saw movies 1 through 8. And by the time Saw 8, aka Jigsaw, finished its promotional campaign, over 360,000 total lives have been saved because of the Saw franchise. I did make a video talking about this back in 2021. Wow, the difference a few years makes. They had to skip over the blood drive for Spiral, I'm assuming because of COVID-related reasons, but now it's back for Saw X, and the posters look so good. They're also advertising all blood types are accepted from all people, which is amazing.
Good way to save people, man. That's actually one of the most cleverest, I guess, promotions tied into a movie I've ever seen.
Here's the truth behind Shrek. Okay, who remembers the scene in Shrek when the bears are locked up by Lord Farquaad? Daddy and Mommy Bear are trapped together while the baby is in a separate cage. If you look closely, you can see Mama Bear has a pink bow on her head. Later in the movie, you can see Daddy Bear and Baby Bear are free, but Baby Bear is crying. So the question is, where's Mama Bear? Well, here's your answer.
What? You know how many times I watched the Shrek movie as a kid? I never noticed that. The little details of this movie, man. That's crazy. I never knew that. I didn't put two and two together, man. When you're a kid, you don't pay attention to that stuff.
I bet you didn't know this about the world. Part 1. Information travels in the brain at 260 miles per hour. Your hair contains tiny amounts of gold. The ocean contains almost 200,000 viruses. Your mind wanders 30% of the time. Sudan has the most pyramids of all countries.
Wow. You have gold hair, bro.
Here are some Disney Channel stars that went to jail, but each time the crime gets worse. Mitchell Musso, who played Oliver Oaken on Hannah Montana, was pulled over in 2011 for suspicion of drunk driving. Being only 20, he blew over the legal limit and was arrested and released on bail. Because of this, his character was written out of Pair of Kings, and his show Prank Wars was cancelled. Adam Hicks, who played Luther on Zeke and Luther and had a starring role in Lemonade Mouth, was arrested a couple times, most recently for armed robbery with his girlfriend. His sentencing was delayed multiple times due to mental health evaluations, and eventually he was given a 5-year sentence for armed robbery, but he's now currently on parole and making music on TikTok. Phil Lewis, who played Mr. Mosby, was arrested and charged for manslaughter after killing a 21-year-old girl while drunk driving. He was originally given a 5-year sentence, but the court suspended 4 years due to his work with prison-based theater groups that performed in jails, churches, and schools to highlight the negative consequences of drug abuse. Upon release, he was given 2 years probation and 350 hours of community service.
Never knew that, man. Mr. Mosby? What the hell is going on?
The Bajau people found on the waters of Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. It's understood they've retained this lifestyle for around 1,000 years. They spend most of the day diving into the ocean, hunting fish and other sea creatures. But here's where things get really interesting. They can hold their breath underwater for up to 13 minutes and dive as far down as 60 meters. Due to the pressure of the water that far down, some actually pierce their eardrums, which it's actually really bad for them. Some go deaf. Now, the reason they're able to hold their breaths underwater for so long is because they evolved larger spleens in comparison to other humans, providing more oxygen to their blood. Their spleens tend to be at least 50% larger than animals. Isn't that interesting? These are the world's
mermaids?
Starting at number 4, Letta the doll, a 200-year-old wooden doll with human hair. She was discovered beneath a house in Australia. Carrie Walton, the caretaker of this doll, witnessed many strange things ever since he took her inside his home. Marks on the floor, objects mysteriously moving, and strange noises at night. Number 3. Okiku. This doll was purchased by a young man in 1918 in Japan as a gift for his younger sister. Tragically, after a year, the little girl passed away from a severe case of the flu. Sometime later, the family noticed something off about the doll's hair. It was originally short, and it has grown past its shoulder. Until this day, the doll's hair is maintained on a regular basis because it never stopped growing. Number 2. Annabelle. Known for its infamous movie releases and stories with Ed and Lorraine Warren, we do know that this doll is possessed by something that is evil, and whoever held this doll suffered from many bad things. Therefore, the doll is now stored in the Warren Museum, safe and sealed. But Annabelle is not the most haunted doll, because coming at number 1, Robert. Robert is not an ordinary doll. This thing is sinister. This doll is possessed by a demon, and it speaks to children. In Florida, in the early 1900s, this doll was gifted to a young boy named Robert Eugene, and his parents always used to hear Robert and his doll speak in the bedroom alone. And the family used to hear the voice of the doll respond. Eugene kept his doll till 1974 until he passed away at an old age. No one knew why this old man kept his doll for more than 70 years. After his death, Robert was given to the East Martello Museum. Visitors who have taken his picture without permission claim to have experienced terrible misfortune. If you visit Robert in the museum, you will see that this doll is surrounded by apology letters. Also other letters, like permission to look at him. And no one dares to take a picture of Robert.
I wouldn't.
There was a 6-year-old guest at one of Diddy's white parties, and he's revealed everything he saw. Justin Litovsky, now 30, along with his father David Allen and mother Maya, were invited to an afternoon barbecue in 1999. But when they arrived, it turned out that they were actually at one of Diddy's infamous white parties. Litovsky went on to tell the New York Post that he recalled seeing lots of drugs and naked women, but they didn't see people having sex. However, according to Justin's mother, they did leave at 9:30 p.m.
This guy was rated by the FBI for AI generating music on Spotify, and he earned an 8-figure fortune while doing it. 52-year-old Michael Smith of North Carolina is a music producer, or maybe more of just an AI prompt writer in this particular case, because he used AI to generate music, uploaded it to Spotify and Apple Music, and would then send swarms of listening bots to stream the music and get paid for it. Yes, AI generated music streamed by bots. This really is the dead internet theory coming to life. He's currently being charged with wire fraud conspiracy, wire fraud, and money laundering conspiracy, totaling to a combined maximum of 60 years in prison. But many are quick to point out that he technically didn't break any direct laws, as music streaming fraud isn't a crime. Yet. It is against streaming platforms like Spotify terms of service for sure, but company policy is not the same as the law. He first found out how to send listening bots to his songs on streaming platforms without getting detected back in 2017. But he realized he'd get caught real quick. Just a small handful of his songs by an unknown artist got billions of views. So when AI generated music first became a thing, he saw the opportunity of a lifetime. Working with the CEO of an AI music company, he started producing hundreds of thousands of songs generated by AI to send his army of listening bots to, made under thousands of different fake artist names like Callio Bloom, Callus Humane, Callus Ness, Com Baseball, Com Innovation, and Com Knuckles. Clearly AI generated. Even the album art was AI generated. Like, what in the f*** is this? And even weirder song names like Zygo Fissier, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce these, in combination with thousands of fake names, emails, accounts, and VPNs to help make his streams look as legitimate as possible. He collected a total of $10 million in royalties from the music streaming giants between 2017 and 2024, racking in over $1 million a year. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a sample of any of his songs anywhere online, as they've all been scrubbed clean from every music streaming platform and website I could find. But let me know if any of you come across them. I'd love to listen me some Callio Bloom and hear just what kind of AI music was topping the charts all these years.
Crazy social media.
Goes to show you, man, he was hacking the system, man. It goes to show you, bro, like how like these artists and stuff, the stats and stuff, I guess, on Spotify and Apple Music, how it can be easily manipulated, bro, if they just be sending bots. So you never know whose numbers are real or not. He hacked the system, bro.
Media facts you won't believe. The most liked post on Instagram is an egg. It broke records with over 55 million likes. There's more TikTok users than cars on Earth. In 2022, TikTok surpassed Google as the most visited site in the world. Mr. Beast once opened 300 restaurants in one day. Now what's more crazy than that is that Rode is giving away $250,000 in cash. Plus amazing prices from Rode and their partners like Fujifilm, Atmos and lots more. It doesn't matter if you're into ASMR, video gaming or podcasting. You just need to use a Rode product and pick one of 22 categories. Don't miss out on your shot to be part of the Rode Creator of the Year Awards. Head to creatoroawards.rode.com.
Facts about money that will blow your mind.
Talk about
There
it.
are 1,700 new millionaires in America every day. There are already 25 million people in the United States that are millionaires today. This means that 7.5% of the United States is a millionaire. Singapore has the world's highest percentage of millionaires in their country, with almost 20% of the entire country having more than $1 million US. Annual supply of water bottles can cost up to $200 a year, while tap water will only cost you 33 cents. King Charles made $34 million in rent income last year. Walt Disney fired the creator of Goofy because he tried to start a union. Money laundering wasn't a crime in the United States until 1986. Due to how much money they generate, 42 buildings in New York City have their own zip code. When we're tempted to buy something, thinking about how many hours it's going to take to afford that thing usually helps us stop.
You spitting, bro. When you're about to buy something important, think how many hours, man, go down the drain getting that unnecessary purchase, man. Also, Singapore, bro, 20% as a millionaire, man. Shoot, I might have to move there, bro. Damn, I need to crack that. I'm trying to get into that millionaire percentage. That's insane, man. That 20% over there has millionaires. Crazy.
If you are a family influencer or post your child on social media, here are a few things you should never do in my own opinion. Number 1, might be common sense, but never post your child in a bathing suit. It's disgusting how many of these Instagram accounts exist that just solely share these types of photos and even have their own groups and communities, so just don't. Number 2, having your very young child's own Instagram page. For example, the LeBrant family. They have an Instagram account for each of their very young children, and just because it's managed by mom and dad does not mean it stops thousands of sick individuals from following the account and using their photos for exploitation. Number 3, AI-generated photos are becoming more and more realistic, so think about that before you post a picture of your child eating, crying, or honestly doing anything. When it comes to this type of inappropriate content, people will do anything to get a photo. Honestly, as someone who has talked about true crime stories for over 3 years, I highly suggest you never post your kid on social media. If you have other tips, please comment that down below.
Let's talk about this brave man whose life was taken while he tried to protect his family at the Trump campaign rally. On July 13th, the 50-year-old Corey Comprador, his wife and 2 daughters attended the rally in Pennsylvania where Trump was speaking. The family sat on the stand right behind Trump when less than 10 minutes into the speech, the shooting began, and while Trump was hit in the right ear, 3 other people were also hit. These are 2 of the 3 victims, David Dutch and James Copenhaver. They were in critical condition but are expected to recover. Unfortunately, 50-year-old Corey did lose his life while he tried to protect his family. His wife Helen and his 2 daughters said that he died a hero, and the last words that he said to them was to get down before he threw them to the floor and covered them. Corey worked as a project and tooling engineer and was a firefighter of the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Company. After this tragic and sad incident, over $4.7 million has been donated to the victims, with Elon Musk donating $100,000 as well as Dana White and K-Rock.
These are 8 horrifying facts
Madness,
that will
man.
probably keep you up at night. Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark.
What?
A human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right. The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 8.
What facts got to y'all, man? It's about the gelatin and the marshmallows for me. That was an edit.
Ended up in the hospital, and not for any reason you think. Shout out to Nat Geo for sponsoring this video. I'm gonna change the way you look at sharks in less than 60 seconds. Let's get it. The author of Jaws, Peter Benchley, not only did he regret writing the book because of all the bad PR to sharks, he would dedicate the rest of his life to shark conservation. If Jaws were written today, the shark would be the victim. The Greenland shark is a slow-burn glacier guppy that can not only live for up to 400 years, they don't hit baby-making age until 150. 150, dude, and still young. Now, there's more than 500 types of sharks, so it's easy to miss one, like the chain cat shark, which happens to glow in the dark that's biofluorescence. The epaulet is a shark that disrespects the natural order by walking, using pelvic and pectoral fins to move around during low tide. Sharks use a type of camouflage called countershading, meaning if you're above them, they blend into the dark abyss, but if you're below them, their light underbelly gets lost in the light of the sky. When you've been around longer than trees, nature gives you perks like that. That's Anthony Mackie. It is, and he and Ross Edgley and many more will be a part of National Geographic Shark Fest airing on Disney Plus and Hulu. Check it out if you're ready to see sharks be anything but the bad guy. Oh, that's right.
Not me, bro. He's going into underwater with sharks. Even with the cage, man, I do not trust that one bit. I'm sorry, Seekers. That's just me.
I wasn't lying. The sharks are fine, but the ocean slammed me against the bars of the cage like it owed me money. So, moral of the story, I'm not afraid of sharks, just the ocean around it.
This is why you should never take walks alone at night. In 2007, a girl was on a late-night walk when she looked at the end of the road and saw the silhouette of a man moving around very strangely. It was like he was doing the waltz, but he was moving towards her. So she was sketched out, crossed the road, and went the other way. After a couple minutes, she turned around to see what he was doing, and he was right across the street from her, now staring up into the sky with a huge grin on his face. Now totally creeped out, she turns around and walks about a half block before checking again, and to her horror, he's now crouched down right behind her. But luckily, he stands up, turns around, and kind of hobbles away. And then she notices something. The man had turned around and was now sprinting directly towards her. She runs to safety and now just hopes she never has to see that smiling man again.
Smiling man? We believe that still
These are
Seekers?
scary facts about popular childhood movies, part 1. Up first, Claire Blandick, who played Auntie Em in The Wizard of Oz, suffered from arthritis that was so painful that she committed suicide at the age of 85. She did her hair and makeup one final time, and put on a nice dress before overdosing on sleeping pills. She then left a note that said, "I am now about to make the great adventure. I cannot endure this agonizing pain any longer. It's all over my body. I pray the Lord my soul to take. Amen." Next up, in the movie The Adventures of Milo and Otis, it's been reported that upwards of 20 cats were killed during the filming of the movie. There's a lot of speculation behind this, because the film somehow got the approval of the American Humane Society, despite not having their officers present during filming.
Whoa, man. We knew these freaking movies and TV shows had dark history, but I didn't know it was that dark. All those cats, man, just for a movie? You gotta watch what we pay attention to, man. These movies and shows. It's like it's always a dark origins behind them.
These are some extremely unsettling facts, and I found all of these on Reddit. Do you remember the movie A Land Before Time? Well, if you do, of course you remember this loving character, Ducky. Ducky was just adorable, that's literally it. But the backstory of the voice actor that plays Ducky is absolutely terrifying. The voice actor who played Ducky was actually killed by her extremely abusive father. During 9/11, we all know that a lot of emergency workers actually gave their lives trying to save people, but there was also a lot of dogs that did the same thing. So these dogs were going around trying to rescue people, but all they were finding were dead corpses. And this literally made the dogs depressed. So seeing this as a solution, a lot of the police officers and firefighters would bury themselves in rubble just so that the dogs would be able to find them and be able to rescue someone. Rattlesnakes are actually evolving to not have a rattle anymore. If they were to do this, they would become one of the more deadly snakes on Earth because they would lose the one thing that let us know where they are. So if you live in an area where there's a lot of rattlesnakes, I'd be careful because one could be lurking around and you won't even know anymore. But I'm sorry for you to make you think about that, but that's why.
Evolution, man. It's a scary thing.
This is why you should be scared of Ouija boards. A former Reddit user said that he used a Ouija board with results and let something into his home. He said that he has also been physically assaulted by this entity. He said that it started out with a feeling that he was being watched, doors closing and footsteps on the hardwood floor when he was home alone. All of this slowly progressed into being kept awake by something shaking the bed and pulling off the covers. He said that sometimes he even heard whispers of his name. The board would disappear for days on end and then show up in places that he never even put it. He became obsessed with it. Things got even worse though. He said that he began to see a black mass in the corner of the room and the silhouette of a man watching him from the doorway. One night, the paranormal activity escalated into a full-blown attack. He said that he had his hair pulled, fingers pricked, and that he was choked while being held down in bed. During the attack, he claims that this thing whispered into his ear in what could have only been Latin. After this event, he finally decided to have his house blessed. And fortunately, this entity hasn't shown back up. He said that he will never again play with one of those boards.
This is the case of the girl that vanished into thin air. Her name is Yuki Onishi. On April 29th of 2005, 5-year-old Yuki was out celebrating Greenery Day with her mother. It's a national holiday in Japan, and what they do is they go out, they celebrate nature, and they collect bamboo shoots. So Yuki, her mom, and 60 other people were out doing this. Yuki was so excited that she found her first bamboo shoot, she showed her mother, and then she ran off to find more. That's when she disappeared and was never seen from again. When they realized that she was nowhere to be found, they actually brought in search dogs and the police. This is where it gets really strange. The dogs followed her scent to the middle of the forest and then just stopped. The scent stopped in the middle of the forest as if she had just disappeared into thin air from that spot. To this day, she has never been found and no one knows what happened. If you want to hear some theories, come back for part 2.
Do you remember this horror game that no longer exists? Let's talk about a terrifying horror experience that was taken off the web. Hotel 626. More obscure horror games right here. This game is an example of lost media and the images are a little blurry, so bear with me. Hotel 626 is a horror game that was actually made by Doritos for a marketing campaign. You go through a series of disturbing events that take place inside of a hotel while you try to escape. But the name of the game actually means more than you might think. The 626 in the game's title stands for the fact that this game was only playable between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. every day.
Really?
Meaning you had to play this game at night. There was no other choice. Now, I did some research and there really is no way to play this game today. Luckily though, footage does still exist on YouTube, so at least we have that. Hotel 626 actually made enough of an impact that it received a sequel called Asylum 626, but we'll talk about that later.
It's lost medias, man. I wonder why did they take it down, bro? It was made by Doritos. It wasn't even like a regular game company. We're gonna have to go through that rabbit hole, Seekers, man. Figure out why it got taken down. That's eerie. That's an edit.
Interesting people you've never heard of. This man attempted to dribble a soccer ball 10,000 miles from Seattle to Brazil, but unfortunately lost his life after being hit by a pickup truck only 250 miles in. Disney co-founder Roy Disney went to Disneyland every single week with his grandchildren, greeting employees by name and picking up trash to teach them the lesson that nobody is too good to pick up trash. This woman sat at a table in a New York museum for 736 hours over 3 months, allowing anybody to come up and sit across from her and make eye contact with no speaking. This French woman was imprisoned by her family for 25 years in the late 1800s without seeing any sunlight. This man smashed the door of a cupcake store, sat for 15 minutes and thought about what he did, cleaned up his mess in regret, and then stole 6 cupcakes. The store owner saw everything on camera. Instead of pressing charges, he created a signature cupcake after him.
I want to go ahead and I want to discuss this Instagram story and what makes this diabolically creepy. So I'm not going to give the name. I blocked everything out because clearly they want to remain anonymous. On text is that somebody clearly broke into their old school. I don't know if it was their middle school, high school, whatever it was. And they posted this to their story, but pretty soon after, people started commenting about what they see in the background. You zoom in just a little bit, you would see that this person was not alone in that classroom. But before we take a deeper look at that photo, a huge thank you to Spyfly for bringing me this story. If you want to look up something about somebody, you go to Spyfly. How to become this one-stop shop where you can do background reports, you can look at arrest records, you can even do reverse phone lookup. Spyfly.com is going to be the place to do it, and you can check the link in my bio for more details. So back to this photo. I don't know if you can see this, but there is definitely somebody crouching in the background of this classroom. And if you still doubt me, I zoomed in and enhanced the picture for you.
Disturbing facts.
Somebody was definitely there.
This woman passed away in her home while watching TV and was not discovered for 3 years. Girls at a nearby camp danced in the falling white ash of the atomic trinity test when it was happening. 10 out of 12 of the girls that danced in the ash passed away before the age of 40. This man donated $100,000 to UCLA to bypass a queue for a liver transplant. 186 people in the Los Angeles area passed away waiting for this same surgery. This woman survived after her parachute failed to deploy just days after surviving a gas leak at her house. Both events were found to be intentional plots carried out by her husband. Hitler had a romantic obsession with his teenage half-niece. All of the members of your group chat will eventually pass away, leaving the group to just exist forever. We are one convincing deep fake away from a global catastrophe.
You guys believe that last fact? AI's getting advanced, so it's not out of the question.
Wait. You don't remember what she looks like.
September 25th, 1981, something very strange took place up in the Smoky Mountains. This is a picture of Pauline Melton, and it would end up being one of the last known photos of her. Because while Pauline was up there, she was with 2 hiking companions. They described that she, all of a sudden, without explanation, just started to rapidly speed up. They even described that they called out to her. They were asking, Pauline, where are you going? Pauline. She never answered. She never looked back until she crossed over a hill. Since that exact moment, Pauline was never seen again. And to this day, they still have no idea where she went and why she did it.
Terrifying true facts that will keep you up at night, part 2. Most people would consider ducklings to be relatively harmless and innocent creatures, but they can be more sinister than you might realize. When a group of ducklings starts to feel overcrowded, aggravated, or even just bored sometimes, they will often turn to cannibalism to solve their problems for them. This is a characteristic that they share with other animals we tend to regard as being cute, such as chickens and bunny rabbits. And speaking of cute, let's talk about babies. Up until the mid-1980s, doctors would routinely operate on infants without the use of anesthetics. This is because it was thought that babies couldn't experience pain. Also in the 1980s, CNN pre-recorded an ominous video meant to be published in the event of an end-of-the-world scenario. Comment if you think that video will be published during your lifetime, and follow for more.
What do you guys think? CNN made a whole freaking doomsday video. It makes you think what other freaking big media company corporations, man, have doomsday videos just ready for us. Hopefully, man, we never see that in our lifetime.
Creepy people who were caught on camera PT.1.
Yeah, why he lurking? No. Yeah, what the hell? Another one. She can see. They know her? They knew something was up and they left. They felt that energy, Mo. Who was that running to him?
Creepiest home camera footage PT.3.
Whoa. It's definitely Crouch, man. Hmm? Shot collar was stolen. Why? Yeah, that's chilling. A man breaks into the house. You don't find no trace
This
of him.
priest tied himself to 1,000 colorful helium balloons and then was found in the ocean months later. On April 20th, 2008, 41-year-old Father Adiller DeCarli wanted to raise money to build a chapel in his hometown, so he chose to tie himself up to 1,000 helium balloons and float over the ocean. He also hoped to break the previous 19-hour record, but unfortunately, things ended tragically. On the morning of April 20th, Father Adiller was fully repaired to take off, and for safety reasons he put on a helmet, waterproof coveralls, and an aluminum thermal flight suit, as well as a GPS tracker and a radio to communicate with people on the ground. Only a few hours after taking off, despite the radio and GPS tracker, Father Adiller disappeared and could not be located. The last thing that he said through the radio was that he was losing height and was going to land in the ocean. Search and rescue teams were immediately dispatched, and after 2 days, they found the colorful balloons in the sea off Brazil's southeast coast, but Father Adiller was not there. Then, a few months later, a body was found in the ocean, which turned out to be him. It was reported that the priest had reached an altitude of 20,000 feet and then was blown off course by the strong winds, causing his tragic death.
So with the amount of people that pass away in hospitals, it's no surprise that they're reportedly full of a lot of paranormal activity. Some people even say that when there are many deaths occurring in a certain area, portals are opened up. And as these souls exit this world, other things, entities, creep in. A nurse who wants to remain anonymous said that she used to work in a skilled nursing facility. She was usually assigned the Alzheimer's ward. One night, she was in the linen room stocking her cart, and she heard someone shuffle up behind her. Then, she said she felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned around, and there was no one else in the room. A female patient started to complain that there was a man coming into her room late at night. Anonymous said that she was in the Alzheimer's ward, so she didn't think much of it. To reassure the patient, she told her that she would come check on her throughout the night. She complained of this man every night for 2 more weeks. The nurse finally asked her to describe him, and the patient said, "He's real handsome, and he wears a black suit. Oh, and he's right behind you now, honey." The nurse said that this freaked her the F out. Of course, there was no one behind her. The patient died the next night in her sleep. So these nurses and doctors really do have a lot of great supernatural stories, and I don't know what to think about that one, because she was, like she said, in an Alzheimer's ward, and Alzheimer's patients can hallucinate. But the nurse did say that when she heard someone shuffle up behind her, she also felt a hand on her shoulder. And I don't know, guys, the story is pretty creepy. The patient described the man as being in all black, yet very handsome. I know that the Grim Reaper is conventionally described as being in like a hooded cloak, but could this have been the Grim Reaper? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments.
Imagine getting this mad because your bubble tea was made wrong. Police were called to this bubble tea place after this grown man had a meltdown because his bubble tea tasted too bitter. He got so mad that he threatened to throw the drink at the worker and said some very offensive stuff in Korean. Then he tried to force the worker to drink the bubble tea that he just finished putting in his mouth.
You know the reason why I'm here. You know, I do. And I explained. It was so bitter to drink. I will explain. And could you check this? Could you try this? I told her. But she rejected.
Hey, first off, there's no reason to act like this over a drink. You're a grown man.
This is the worker, and she tried to find a solution by offering to make him a new drink or give him a refund, but this man was so mad. He didn't want any of that. He just wanted to fight. The workers ended up calling the police because this man was getting pretty aggressive, and when the police arrived and heard both stories, they were upset because this man was acting like a baby over a drink. Then this man called his daughter so that she can better explain the situation because there was a language barrier, and you would think that she had more common sense, but it seems that common sense does not run in this family because she was blaming the workers for everything.
There's bigger things in life to worry about than a damn drink that's bitter enough.
I know, sir, you're really disgusting.
But if then you go to another location, if I go to a restaurant and they offend me, I'm just not going to bring my business in.
I know, that's how you handle your problem. And this is how
you can't come in public and then cause a disturbance.
Sir, I understand what you're saying, and I understand that he was offended, you know, he may seem like really offensive and you apologize, okay? But when someone is really worked up and there's no de-escalation of the problem because they're not apologizing for the service, then we only get really upset.
Okay, but he's just got to be in charge of his own emotions.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like the drink, then take the refund and don't come back. It's simple. It's so frustrating to see the entitlement and lack of awareness of these people. I felt so bad for this worker. She broke down in tears and apologized to this man so many times, but he wasn't satisfied and just wanted to continue to fight. It's so frustrating to see this, especially because she's working at a bubble tea place. She probably gets paid minimum wage and she has to deal with people like this.
Part 1. Firstly, on top of a hill in Pennsylvania, some stones can be found that shouldn't actually be there, because there's no nearby high terrain where they could have originated. These are called the ringing rocks, because whenever something hits these stones, they make a strange ringing noise.
Ooh, interesting.
Next is the petrifying well in England, where water flows from a rock and turns whatever it touches into stone. As you can see, people often leave items like hats, teddy bears, or even bicycles, which appear to have already been turned into stone. Some people believe there's a mystical power, but the scientific reason behind this is the unusually high mineral content in the water, which forms a hard mineral shell on any object it comes into contact with. And within a few months, everything essentially becomes a stone statue.
Crazy things happening in the world right now that you probably didn't know about. First up, a brain chip was implanted into a paralyzed man, which allowed him to send out tweets with just his mind. This tweet was written by 62-year-old Philip O'Keefe by just thinking it. Next, NASA might know something that we don't, because apparently they hired religious scholars to prepare humanity for alien contact. And turns out we're not done with the virus because the first cases of flu Rona was found. But believe it or not, there's even more. There might be a whole new pandemic in 2022 called the bird flu. But let's end on a more positive note. 2 inventors in Kenya created the first ever bio-robotic arm that's controlled by only brain signals. It was mainly invented to help disabled people with everyday tasks. Follow for more.
That's what technology should be used for, man. You know, to help you, I guess, you know, us human beings, man, for I guess, you know, replacing, I guess, body parts or stuff like that, or helping you know, us accomplish simple tasks. Not, you know, if we can insert in brain chips. I don't agree with that, man. That's taking it way too far.
Lena's parents suspected that her abdomen was changing due to a tumor growing in her abdomen. Lena had an examination done, and the doctors told her parents that not to worry, she didn't have any kind of illness, and the reason why her stomach was growing so strangely was because their 5-year-old daughter was pregnant. 7 months pregnant, to be exact. Lena's doctor was running tests to see how a 5-year-old girl could be pregnant, and he discovered that she was suffering from a very rare disease called premature puberty. Many girls begin puberty around 11 or 12 years old, but for Lena's case, she started her puberty around 2.5 to 3 years old. She started to grow breasts at the age of 4, and her pelvis had expanded by the age of 5. This rare condition can also happen in boys. They will have an enlarged private area, a deeper voice, and even a beard. The public and the doctors were completely shocked by this case, and fortunately, the birth went well. Meanwhile, an intensive investigation was going on to see who would be the father of this child. None never discussed who SB'd her and under what circumstances. The shadow of suspicion fell on Lena's father. He was arrested and was later released. There was never a single piece of evidence that Lena's father did this to her, and he always denied it. To this day, no one knows the father of Lena's child, and she refuses to do interviews about it, so we may never know the full truth.
So there's a
What do you guys think happened?
place where hell is on earth. In the Bible, Jesus said one of my disciples named Antipas would die and be martyred, right? Now, Saint Antipas was martyred and he was killed in, you know, that torture bowl? So they put somebody in like a metal bowl and like boil them alive. Yeah, that happened in Geneva, Switzerland. People are saying Geneva, Switzerland is the literal place of hell. It's literally the portal to hell, or that's at least where the devil resides, because that's what it says in the Bible. Now check this out. Do you know what else is in Geneva, Switzerland? What? CERN. Oh, CERN headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland, and the CERN logo is what? Six, fam. CERN is working on particle generation and messing with matter of the universe to tear our dimension with the supernatural and the natural, fam. Yeah. So what in theory? They're trying to open the portal to hell, bro.
Here's the truth behind.
Whoa. At first, I'm about to say I wasn't kind of buying it, because I'm about to say I've heard, I think, like, nice things about Switzerland, but once he said CERN, the dots were connected, man. Reviewing these clips together, we learned a lot about that. So, the portal to hell is in Switzerland. I guess I can cross that place off my bucket list. We will not be going there.
And the Grinch. So we all know the Grinch absolutely despises Christmas. However, at the end of the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story continues longer than you think.
Surprising facts about religion. Christianity is the most popular religion worldwide. Hinduism is supposedly the oldest religion worldwide. China is the most atheist country in the world. Around 1.2 billion people do not follow any religion. Somalia is ranked as the most religious country.
Wow, really? I never even would have guessed that about China. Like I said, watching these clips together, man, I'm always updating my knowledge base, so I'm grateful for you guys as well. We learning together.
Trying your doorbell. I have a couple questions for you.
Hmm?
Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure? I just have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive?
Who the hell is he talking
I
to?
just have a couple questions for you.
Oh, he glitching.
Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure? Are you absolutely certain?
My anxiety would be through the roof if this ever happened to me. This man was trying to enter this woman's home after he saw her inside her kitchen through an open window. And then he walked up to the door, which you see in this video, and told her that he wanted to R her and take her life. Police found him the next day. He identified himself as the Holy Spirit, and then he was arrested.
This is the disturbing truth about Disney World.
Weirdo.
In the Haunted Mansion at Disney theme parks, people who go on the ride commit suicide during the course of the ride and become a ghost. At the beginning of the ride, the ghost narrator says, the only way to escape the mansion is to die. And he then shows that he hanged himself. Near the end of the ride, there's a moment when the ride's vehicle turns around backwards, and you go off a balcony, which represents you jumping to your death. Before that part of the ride, all of the ghosts are trying to scare you. But afterwards they sing excitedly and invite you to party with them, technically meaning that you're dead. This is a super disturbing ride, and it's crazy to think that this ride is at Disney.
So this is
I won't be going on that.
your mind. Did you know that it wasn't illegal to own CP or CSAM in Japan until the year 2014? That's right, until the year 2014, anybody could own CP or CSAM in Japan with no legal consequences. I find that really hard to believe, but it is true. Look it up. And did you also know that Japan just raised the age of consent last year from 13 to 16? Now, these are definitely steps in the right direction, not the adequate steps, I would imagine. But something really disturbing is that there's no law in place in Japan to prevent people from drawing CP, CSAM, and selling it. A recent study that was done showed that 30 to 40% of manga comics in Japan contain sexual undertones with characters that are underage. And like I just said, this could be like a joke, or it could be full-on graphic, drawn content. And there are no laws making that illegal in Japan. I mean, I find that incredibly hard to believe. Here in America, you would be put in prison for a long time for having something like that in your possession.
Yep.
But in Japan, it is still completely legal and it hasn't been outlawed. Now, I don't understand why they waited till 2014 to finally pass a law that would put pedophiles in prison. But as you can imagine, the sentences that these people are getting over there are literally nothing. Like, I've read stories of people that were found with hundreds, thousands of images and videos on their computers and hard drives, and they were sentenced to probation, asked to pay like a $500 fee. But this is a major issue, and I felt like people should know about that, because when I read that, I was just disturbed. If you want to join me on my journey to expose pedophiles and pedophile ring, listen to my podcast, The Conspiracy Files, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or you can subscribe to my channel. And let me tell you, this video, you should watch this. It is very enlightening.
Different places, man, around the world have different rules and laws, but that one about Japan, I wouldn't have even believed it if I didn't see it for myself.
You're probably on your phone too much, so here are some stats. So the Philippines consistently ranks the highest in screen time with an average of 10 hours per day, with Brazil and Thailand coming in second and third right afterwards with about 9, and Japan is the lowest with about 4.5. Men generally spend 10% more time online than women, likely due to men's interest in gaming, which adds that additional percent, though women consistently spend more time on social media and online retailers. 90% of screen time is spent on the mobile phone for the younger generations, though for millennials and greater, TV becomes disproportionately more prevalent. Generationally, 13 to 18-year-olds spend the most time on phones at 7.5 hours per day, with 18 to 24-year-olds spending 6.5 hours, and under 13-year-olds spending 5 hours. The silent generation predictably has the lowest at 2 hours and 30 minutes. Screen time has doubled in just the last 15 years and has gone up 75% since the pandemic. 50% of infants are even using their phones, and 50% of people reportedly wake up in the middle of the night to check their phones. And finally, most people pick up their phones an average of 200 times per day. So maybe put it down.
Videos that...
Hey man, wish I got screen time. I try to keep mine below, yeah, like I said, trying to keep it below 8 hours, but that's crazy, man. You seen with the new generation, the stats just keep increasing. Speaking of word, bad, bro. I saw a freaking taller had a phone. I didn't have a phone until I was like, damn near a teenager, bro. That's insane. It's going down to the younger generation, man.
That cannot be explained.
You hear that?
I hear it. He's still there.
Y'all done? All right, Jake, you go to bed now? All right. Got this nice bottle of boiling water to keep my sleeping bag warm, but I'm not quite ready to go to bed, so I'm just gonna put it right there. On that, I think I'm gonna get my bed set up. Always try to put something in between the stove and my sleeping bag in case I roll around in the night. I don't want that sleeping bag even touching that stove. It'll melt a hole or worse yet, catch on fire. Go sleep and I'll see you guys in the morning.
Creepy last words
Brave
people
soul.
said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Karen, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one two-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Ooh. It's like he could feel their presence. Feel the energy, feel their aura. Some wild stories. Edit. Call it like we see it, man. If y'all see any edits, man, call them out.
This is the true story of the Tooth Fairy.
In the 1950s, there was a woman named Tess Tickle, who was a dentist in Ohio. One day after work, she had discovered her husband having an affair with their neighbor. But before I continue, I advise you to check if your phone is being spied on. Save this video, click here, then here, and if you see this, delete it immediately. Now Tess was angry and heartbroken, but she didn't react. She just told him to pack his bags and leave. Around 7 months later, her husband knocked on the door, begging and asking her to fix his toothache. You see, he didn't have good insurance, and he knew that she used to fix his cavities for free. That's when Tess looked at him and smiled. She said, "Sure, meet me in my office tomorrow night." The next night, she put him under anesthesia. When her ex-husband finally woke up, he realized all his teeth were gone, and Tess was no longer there to be found. The next couple of years, men and women who are unloyal to their partners started reporting waking up to a dark figure who puts them to sleep and steals all their teeth. When police started to investigate, it led them to a cave in the forest. Then, they saw something disturbing. Type part 2 if you want to hear what happens next.
The scariest sounds in space
Type
are
part 2.
100% real. A while back, NASA posted some audio clips on their official website of real sounds captured from objects in space. Now that should be impossible, right? There's no sound in space, so NASA's clearly a phony agency that fakes everything. Okay, relax. As much as I love the tinfoil hat stuff, NASA actually has something called an electromagnetic acoustic transducer, a device that can convert electromagnetic waves and other vibrations emitted by objects. Electricity, radio, ultrasonic, the only difference being the length of each wave. Some wavelengths we can detect with our eyes, like the visible light spectrum, and others with our ears, like sound, and still others that we humans can't even detect at all. This gadget takes those waves and maps them to the audio wavelength range that we can hear. As it happens, some electromagnetic waves in space even occur within our audio frequency range, and we can listen to those directly using this device. Well, from those readings, these have been rated among the scariest sounds in space that NASA has ever recorded. That just sounds like a howling breeze in the middle of winter to me. This one makes sense to me. A pulsar is a rapidly rotating dead star. I could imagine one would sound like that.
Milky Way. That's the
As
one
weird as
we
it is to say, that's exactly what I'd imagine the Milky Way galaxy to sound like.
Is this a supernova?
Nah, bro, that's fake, This one I'm calling cap on, there's no way.
That's cap.
Nah. This one ain't real, that ain't real.
Quasar?
A little scarier, but this one sounds more real to me. Okay. A little creepier. Sounds like there's something going on over there. Now that right there, that's a black hole. Yeah, that's definitely not a place I want to be. Oh, well, looks like that's it. Let me know if you think these sounds are real or not.
Some of those are, I think some of those are cap, especially the supernova. That was like, no, I don't believe a supernova sound like that. If it is, I'll be really, really surprised if a supernova truly sounds like that. But to be able to even hear in space, first time I heard of that.
Things humans weren't meant to see. A man traveled to Egypt and placed a remote-controlled car inside one of the pyramids. The original poster claimed to have found something the government would want to keep a secret. He also wanted to be paid $5 million for the rest of the footage to be revealed, but it never did.
He's going deep, deep, deep into those pyramids. Definitely gonna find something he ain't supposed to see.
As it gets deeper, it shows what appears to be a tall figure inside the chambers.
Definitely need the rest of that.
Me and a bunch of my friends at Fantastic Fest got to see the premiere of Terrifier 3. And not only did I get to see the movie and meet the freaking cast and director of Terrifier 3, I was sincerely blown away. Look, it's no surprise I've been immensely hyped for this movie, and also went into the theater being a big fan of the Terrifier series and wanting to have a good time. But I was not expecting to sincerely really like this as a movie. Because bottom line, this is the best out of the entire Terrifier franchise. Because not only does it dial up the intense scenes with art and the gore to an 11, but it actually has plot and moments with our characters. Now, of course, there's the big question that a lot of people want to know. Is there a moment in the movie that beats the hacksaw scene from Terrifier 1? Is there a moment in Terrifier 3 that beats the room scene in Terrifier 2? And my answer is weird, but that kind of depends upon you. There are some moments in this movie, especially the first 10 minutes, where the specific moment may not be as heavily gory intense as the hacksaw or the bedroom, but the weight of what Art is doing to who he's doing it to is where it gets really intense. Like, they basically took Art from Terrifier 1 and put him in the same tone of movie like Terrifier 2. Yeah, mean, scary Art is back, and he's more brutal than ever. And I think for mainstream audiences, that's going to be the biggest turnoff. But as fans of the Terrifier series, I was laughing through the entire thing. Maybe I'm just messed up, maybe I'm absolutely sick. But just Damien Leone has just an amazing showcase of some messed up gore. Like, the chainsaw scene in particular, talk about moments before disaster. So I'll say this, I absolutely think this is the better of the three films, especially when it comes to just the overall movie aspect of it. The runtime, the editing, the pacing, 1,000 times better. This movie's definitely not going to be for everybody. But if you go in expecting and knowing the tone of the Terrifier films and what Damien Leone is trying to accomplish with them, I think you're really going to love it. Oh, and the Ice Nine Kills song and music video at the end of Terrifier 3 is arguably better than the movie.
If someone is trying to make you decide in a hurry, they are probably giving you a bad deal. Walk away. If someone has a panic attack, start breathing regularly and loudly. The person that is panicking will subconsciously start breathing in rhythm with you. When a group of people laugh, they tend to look at the person they like the most. Nervousness and excitement have the same body reaction, so if you're nervous for a speech, trick yourself into thinking you're actually excited. If you think someone is watching you, fake a yawn, then watch them. Get someone to contribute to an idea and they will more likely accept it. If you whisper to someone, it's more likely they will whisper back even if there's no good reason to lower your voice. If you want to make someone feel uncomfortable, look at their forehead while you're talking to them. If you want somebody to open up to you, ask them a question. If the person only partially answers it, remain silent and keep eye contact. This will pressure the person into talking more. If you want to be more persuasive, reduce the use of the words I think and I believe. Touching someone on their shoulder or on their knee creates a stronger emotional bond with that person. Chew gum if you are still nervous. Our brains assume that if we are eating, then we are not in any immediate danger, lowering our fight or flight response. When you approach a group of people, notice if they turn their feet towards you or away from you. If their feet point away from you, you are probably not welcome. Subtly nodding when people are talking to you indicates that you are genuinely interested in what they are having to say and they're going to like you more. If you take a moment to look at someone's eye color when meeting them, you'll be giving them the perfect amount of eye contact. If there is a mirror behind where you are ordering, you are less likely to be rude because nobody wants to see themselves actually be rude. If you buy the first pitcher at the bar with your friends, you'd be surprised how far you could go by saying, I bought the first one. If someone is making jokes at your expense, act like you can't hear them and ask them to repeat it multiple times. By the time they say it a third or fourth time, nobody's laughing. When someone remembers you, they are most likely going to remember the first memory and the last memory of you. So make sure you always leave a good last impression too. After you have learned how to do something new and have done it yourself, the fastest way to retain that information is to teach somebody else.
True.
If you have a song stuck in your head and you can't get it out, try and listen to the whole song all the way through while singing it. Your brain is treating the song like an unfinished task in your subconscious. Plan something for every Wednesday that you can look forward to. You'll start to look forward to it on Monday, and by the time Wednesday comes around, you're already halfway through the week and almost to the weekend. If you ask someone to do a small favor for you, their subconscious mind is going to register that they like you because they're doing a favor for you. Showing the palms of your hands while talking to someone subconsciously communicates that you have nothing to hide and that you can be trusted. Whenever you're introducing a new idea to someone and you lead with the words, "This might not be for you, but," it intrigues their interest and makes it feel like it probably is for them. If you need to remember to do something tomorrow, put something in your room out of place. If you don't want to get out of bed, throw your pillow across the room. The next day, you will see this item out of place and it will jog your memory of what you need to accomplish. If you're procrastinating, just stop telling yourself how much work you have to do. This will overwhelm you. Instead, tell yourself you only have to work for 5-10 minutes, and then you're likely going to continue working past those minutes.
True.
People who are lying will normally blink more than normal, hide the palms of their hands, glance up to the right, mess with their hair, or use abnormally long sentences. If you're trying to get over a breakup, do not use fictional scenarios. Imagining your person with someone new is only going to make you more angry and sad about something that's not even real. If you want to create a deeper connection with someone you're interested in, ask them these two questions. What do you think we have in common? And what do you like most about me? If you are suffering from racing thoughts, use the 3-3-3 rule. Name 3 things you see, 3 things you hear, and 3 parts of your body. This will help center your mind and bring you back to the present. When someone apologizes for something that you don't feel like was that big of a deal to apologize for, they're probably telling you subconsciously what actually bothers them if it was done to them. If they apologize for interrupting you, they probably really just don't like being interrupted themselves. Follow for more psychology hacks.
You just freaking blowing our reality right open with those hacks, bro.
Signs that you or your friends are serial killers. Number 1, antisocial behavior. Number 2, setting things on fire. It doesn't have to be houses. Number 3, torturing animals. Number 4, having a troubled family history and substance abuse. Number 5, they're pretty smart but cannot keep a job. Do you know anyone that could be a serial killer?
Here's some of the most random fun facts you will ever hear in your life. Armadillo shells are actually bulletproof. One time a man was hospitalized when he shot at an armadillo and the bullet ricocheted off the shell and hit him instead. There's only one letter in the entire alphabet that isn't in any US state name, and that letter is Q. There's not a single state with the letter Q in its name.
Really?
71% of the earth is covered in water, and humans can only use 0.007% of that water. 2.5% of the total water is fresh water, and only 1% of that is actually accessible. The bumblebee bat is the smallest mammal in the entire world. These things can rest on your fingertips and you might not even know because they weigh 0.05 to 0.07 ounces. Ostriches are the world's largest and heaviest living bird. It's why they can't fly, but they are built for running, and they can reach speeds of up to 43 miles per hour, and they can pretty easily coast at 30 miles per hour. The longest English word is 189,819,000 letters long. It's a protein and its nickname is titin, and it would take around 3.5 hours to say the word out loud.
The hell?
People who gained real-life superpowers after an accident. Jason Padgett was a party animal who hated school and got terrible grades. But one day, 2 men savagely robbed and attacked Jason outside of a karaoke bar, leaving him with a severe concussion. The concussion caused him to become a mathematical genius and made him learn fractal geometry, which he had never been taught before. When Derek Amato was 39 years old, he hit his head after diving into a swimming pool and was diagnosed with a concussion and 35% hearing loss. After that, Derek began to see black and white keys in his head, and out of nowhere, he began to play the piano like an expert. Ben McMahon was in a car accident in 2015 and fell into a coma for a week. When he woke up, he could speak perfect Chinese even though he had only learned the basics as a child. Tony Cicerio was struck by lightning after making a call in a phone booth. Within a couple days, he was addicted to music, which he wasn't before. After trying the piano, he became a musical artist, composing his own music.
This mother hits the...
Man, what is up, man? These freak accidents, bro. Like, it really sounded like something out of a comic book, man. You know, something traumatic happens to them. They wake up with new abilities or powers or something like that. Can't believe those stories, man. Are real. We'll have to check them out, see if we can find any more.
Sticky notes in her daughter's sock to be saved from captivity. This 28-year-old mother and two kids, 7-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, were held captive by a man named Brandon Tusland. This all started in January 2021 when the father of the two kids, Eli Dominguez, passed away from pneumonia. The mother was happily married to Eli, but since his death, she began to struggle financially. That's when Eli's former friend, Brandon, offered to support her and her two kids. In March 2021, the mother and two kids moved into Brandon's home, and that's when he became controlling and abusive. He alienated her from her family, made her quit her job, and confiscated her phone. He put locks on the bedroom doorknobs, installed motion sensors, and duct taped her to the bed. She was also handcuffed when she rode in the car with him. But one day, the mother spotted a sticky notepad and a pen in his car, and that's when she began a weeks-long plan to seek help. The mother found the perfect chance to put a sticky note in her daughter's sock, and on February 22nd at 8:40 a.m., the 7-year-old girl went to school and gave the sticky note to her teacher. The note said that her mother was being held against her will and she needed help right away. School officials notified authorities and Brandon was arrested right away. But it doesn't end there. This is when things get super disturbing. Brandon kept her kids away from her most of the time, and especially when she was locked up. And she actually had not seen her 4-year-old son, Mason Dominguez, since December 11th. And she suspected he was dead. When the mother lost full contact with her son, she knew she had to find a way out to save her and her daughter. When police searched his house, they found the remains of 4-year-old Mason Dominguez in his freezer in his garage.
Just a dark case seekers, man. She was smart.
Attached to your phobia. Thalassophobia.
Level 1. It's good. I'm still good right now. It's kind of scary. Could you imagine being out there? Yeah, I can't do that. Damn.
These toy designers messed up big time. I'm pretty sure there was a better spot to put this straw on Buzz Lightyear. Come on. And I've never seen a duck with 4 legs before. Have you? I poop glitter. But why is this even a toy? And why this designer made Harry Potter blue? I'll never understand. And this looks like a normal cute horse, right? Well, it actually has a Barbie head as the tail. I'm a sweet baby. Let's have fun together. Yeah, you don't look too sweet. And
What
I think
the
there's
hell?
something up with this Woody doll. And I'm not sure what's going on with this baby's eye.
What the hell is wrong with those toy designers, man? They weren't thinking.
Here are some of the rarest human mutations that actually exist. Firstly, every 1 in 1,000 people have a perfect 10 face, meaning that all of their features fit perfectly within these lines. Now, every 1 in 107 people experience something called mirror touch. It's where you feel the sensation of touch in the same or opposite body part when you see somebody else being touched. Now, 4% of people have something known as sweaty palm syndrome. I'm sure you can guess what that is. It's where your palms sweat when you're not even being active. And the rarest mutation is werewolf syndrome. This is where you have excessive hair growth all over your body. And only 50 people worldwide have this.
This is Tragedy by the Sea.
Werewolf syndrome. Interesting.
Photos of all time.
Okay, so first glance at this photo, you just think it's a couple arguing at the beach, right? But believe it or not, this photo might have the most unsettling and disturbing backstory ever. On the morning of April 2nd, 1954, Los Angeles Times photographer named John Gaunt, who was pictured in the middle of this photo, was relaxing on his front yard of his beachfront house when he heard a neighbor shout, "Something's happening on the beach." He then instinctively grabbed his camera and rushed over to see the horrified couple clutching each other on the beach. On the shore stood a young couple named Mr. and Mrs. McDonald, and their body language made John's stomach turn. He realized that someone must be lost, and he then took a photograph from 200 yards away. Only then did he learn that just moments before, the couple's 19-month-old son Michael, who had been playing in the yard, had wandered down to the beach and crawled into the violent waters while they weren't looking.
Man.
Despite the back and forth efforts by the parents, there was nothing they can do but just wait. Unfortunately, later that day, the child's dead body was washed up about a mile away on the beach. And this photo, titled "Tragedy by the Sea," appeared on the front page of the Times the very next day. John Gaunt then won the 1955 Pulitzer Prize Award, calling the photo poignant and profoundly moving. But he also received heavy criticism for capitalizing on the family's tragedy for his photo opportunity. But now take a look at this photo, knowing everything you do, and tell me it's not one of the saddest and most disturbing photos ever.
The darkest conspiracy theories. The Teletubbies theory. The theory says that the show is inspired by historic events that happened in a Bulgarian mental facility. Each Teletubby is inspired by a kid that was experimented on. Lola was based on a child who had facial disfigurement and had to smile all the time. Tinky Winky was based on a deaf child who was tied to a fence outside and suffered frostbite. Gypsy was inspired by a child who was constantly sick and ended up lying in his own puke. And Paul was based on a child who fell into fire, which is recognizable by his color is red.
This 14-year-old boy
adds up.
His 83-year-old neighbor. Viewers' discretion is strongly advised. On August 29th of 2018, 14-year-old Tyrone Harvin told his 83-year-old neighbor, Dorothy Mae Neal, that he would help her with some chores inside of her apartment. Before walking into her apartment, he made sure to grab a handful of condoms. Tyrone did help Dorothy with some chores before attacking her with a lamp. After that, Tyrone SA'd her, he fled her apartment, and he left her seriously injured on the floor and naked. Neighbors had asked police to do a welfare check on Dorothy since they hadn't seen her around for a couple of days. When officers showed up at her apartment, they noticed dried blood on her doorknob, and that's when they saw Dorothy lying naked on the floor. She was then taken to the University of Maryland Hospital Trauma Unit and unfortunately passed away that next day. When officers were at Dorothy's home, they noticed that there was several condom wrappers around her body as well as used condoms. A broken, bloodied lamp was also found by officers. Dorothy's autopsy revealed that she suffered extensive trauma to her head and genitals. There was DNA on Dorothy's body and in those condoms, and that DNA matched up to Tyrone. Despite all of the evidence, Tyrone's mom stood by his side and truly believed that he would never do something like this. On June 29th of 2022, Tyrone was convicted on first-degree murder, first-degree SA, and use of a deadly weapon. Tyrone was also sentenced to life in prison.
Oh no.
Whole life over. There you
No,
go.
no, 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 silly. To dry it. But it exploded. And they were both found dead.
Here's some
Sounds like
random
an edit.
things we all did as kids. Who remembers pouring glue all over their hand and peeling it off? How satisfying was that?
I
And we
remember that.
definitely have all gotten our fingers stuck in one of these at least one time. Who
True.
remembers feeling like the coolest kid with a pencil this small? And we all ran our fingers along these grooves at school. Admit it, we all stabbed our eraser with our pencil like this. And we definitely all unraveled the design of these pencils. And we all dove to the bottom of the pool to pick up these rings. Who remembers using these blocks in school? And we definitely all tried pushing down all of the colors at one time.
Did any of you guys do that, Seekers, in school?
AI
I
is
remember
not
that.
something that's terribly new, but have you heard about the woman that is haunting AI pictures? This is the face, and nobody can explain why she keeps showing up in AI images. If you look at her, she's not really general. I mean, there are specific characteristics here that are consistent. Again, nobody knows which prompts are generating this woman. Nobody knows why her face continues to appear in different models. So this has opened up one of my favorite questions about the idea that AI pictures can be haunted. And don't forget, if things like this are of interest to you, make sure to go check out the podcast.
War generals really to study.
Wow.
The Coyote managed to finesse its two biggest enemies, and all they had to do was wait and play the long game. So once upon a time, humanity saw this canyon puppy and decided it was on site ever since. America started murking coyotes like they were made out of oil. Mark Twain hated it so much, he wrote a 3-page MLA format essay on why coyotes deserve nothing. If you thought Kendrick hated Drake, that is nothing on the abhorrence this man had for a travel-sized wolf. So much that it literally inspired a pain magnet of a Looney Tune. Now here's the first problem of beefing with coyotes. Coyotes are basically canine cockroaches. The harder you try to murk them, the harder they work to birth them. Apparently they even have this roll call where a female will call out and all the coyotes in an area will answer. And if she doesn't hear a lot of yotes back, it'll actually trigger her body to make more pups. Now op number 2, wolves don't mess with coyotes at all. Like to a homicidal level. To the point where wolves will hard bully coyotes in the same area. Now here's where the get back happened. While we were out here spam killing coyotes, we were also at war with wolves. Except getting generationally stepped on by wolves made coyotes that much more adaptable. So while the big bad wolf was getting smoked, coyotes were out here hero-stepping extinction. And when wolves got packed up in the US for coyotes, it was free real estate. So not only did we accidentally become coyote allies, the wolf dating pool got so low, eventually they started doing the unspeakable with the ops to survive, leading to the coy wolf. It's exactly what it sounds like. Remember, wolves hate coyotes more than anything. So just like that, coyotes managed to outcompete their biggest enemy and also colonize their bloodline. And with coyotes found in every state that isn't Hawaii, they basically humbled humanity too. And that's why I rock with them. They're alive out of spite, and I respect that.
Man. A merge with you, coyote and wolf, both ops joining together, man. All because of us. Crazy story in Animal Kingdom history.
Unexpected emergency alert systems in different countries. Firstly, if you don't know, countries have different emergency alert systems. The one I'm used to is America's that sounds like this.
Yup.
But on the other hand, we have the country of Barbados, which honestly sounds like club music. Next is Japan, which to me isn't that scary, it just sounds like a notification. Now, one that I would genuinely be terrified by is Ireland's. Just imagine waking up to this. Finally, you know, I'm kind of glad that America's emergency alarm isn't too scary, because Denmark is on another level.
Nightmarish facts about your body that you probably shouldn't think about. Due to the brain's lack of pain receptors, brain surgery is often performed while the patient is awake and talking. And in some cases of brain surgery, the surgeon will pull your face forward like a banana. Men's nipples can be stimulated enough to produce milk. Once you turn 30 years old, you can expect to lose half an inch every 10 years. When you developed in the womb, your anus was formed before anything else. So at one point, you were nothing but an asshole. The acid in your body is strong enough to dissolve razor blades, which is why your stomach is in a constant battle to not digest itself. When you get a sunburn, your cells are dying to avoid becoming cancerous. A sneeze can blow out of your nose at over 100 miles an hour. So next time, be careful, because it's actually possible to break a rib simply by sneezing. If you've ever been on a roller coaster and feel like your heartbeat is in your mouth, it isn't your imagination. Your organs are actually moving around inside your body.
You guys know some freaking creepy facts? I think the one that got to me is that we have enough stomach acid to freaking burn, like I said, the razor blade, bro. And they were literally born in that freaking butthole, bro. I never knew that was the first thing that formed, man. So we was all, I guess the asshole one time in our life. Edit. Like I said, man, if you guys see any edits, man, call them out as well, bro. We all need to help each other, man, this community.
Adult jokes in kids' cartoons you probably didn't notice.
Hey, Judy! Want a party with a real bug? Yeah! Oh, lady, come like lava! Yeah!
Stop being a
didn't know, Gandhi was racist and sexist. He kept a bunch of underage girls with him all the time. He would bathe with them, get full-body massages from them, and sleep naked with them in order to test himself. He also thought women were responsible for their own sexual assaults and was totally cool with fathers killing their own daughters after they had been sexually assaulted for family honor.
Gandhi Doc origins confirmed. What?
Lauren was shot 15 times, and 8 of those shots were fatal. Emergency personnel arrived at the scene as well as local neighbors so that they could assist. At that point, no one had told Lauren's parents that she had been shot. Lauren's mom, Bianca, was unaware of what was going on and was just doing what she normally did, waiting at home for Lauren to arrive. But then, one of her friends pulled up to her house asking if Lauren was home yet. Her mom was confused about this question and responded and said, "No, why?" And the friend, in a panic, said, "Kids are down," and then left. So her mom, Bianca, didn't hesitate or even let her dad, Vern, know what she was doing, and she just booked it out the front door to make sure that it wasn't her child that was, quote, down. Lauren's dad, Vern, could tell that something was wrong because Bianca wasn't the kind of person to just jump up, flee the house without saying anything or indicating what was wrong. So he knew something was up. So he immediately hopped in his truck and he followed her. There were tons of police cars, ambulances, people, and now crime scene tape blocking the area off. So Bianca was just looking around in a complete panic, trying to see if Lauren was there while simultaneously trying to assess the situation and come to terms with what was going on, and that is when she laid eyes on Lauren. In that moment, her worst fears realized and her worst nightmares come true, seeing her daughter on the ground appearing to have been shot.
Okay, this is getting creepy. We're now finding out that a doomsday fish washed up dead in San Diego just 2 days before California was rattled by that 4.6 magnitude earthquake. I mean, come on. Now for anyone that doesn't know, we've spoken about this before, but according to Japanese mythology, the oarfish, which is very rarely seen by humans, because they soar at depths of roughly 200 to 1,000 meters, well, is said to intentionally rise to the surface and beach themselves ahead of an impending earthquake, hence the name. And I made a video earlier this year when one was spotted before the Japan earthquake, and now again, for this one. So, now remember, there is no scientific evidence that has proven a correlation between them washing up and earthquakes. So as of right now, all we can say is just it's a freaky coincidence.
You guys believe that, man? It's 2 out of 2 though. He did one early this year in the fish and that freaking earthquake happened, and another one happened as well. So he's 2 for 2 confirmed, man. It's starting to not seem like a coincidence anymore, Seekers.
Attractions in the World Part 2. Today we're going to be talking about the 17th door. This attraction is so much different than the rest because actors are allowed to touch you. There's also a slight possibility that you'll get your hair cut here, which makes things like 100 times worse. Put you through various levels and rooms that just kind of keep getting worse. The room that you're seeing here actually turns and spins while you're in it. It's really trippy, especially if you don't know it's coming. You can watch a walkthrough of this place online. A lot of commenters were saying that this doesn't do the place justice. Basically, they were holding back a little for the people recording, supposedly. Oh yeah, and here's their lovely little barber shop. I wouldn't go here, but let me know if you would.
I'm never going to any of those freaking haunted houses, bro. They're too extreme for my
Beetlejuice
taste.
is not going to try to marry Jenna Ortega's character in the sequel. I feel like the trailers make it abundantly clear that he's trying to get back with Lydia again. First thing he does when he sees her is he grabs her and he says, "I'm gonna make you so happy." He even has a picture of Lydia on his desk, and then he says, "Now's my chance." The trailer kind of implies that Lydia's husband dies at the beginning of the movie, so maybe the movie is about Beetlejuice trying to be a father to Jenna Ortega's character. He puts down the newspaper and it says obituary, so he probably found out someone died and he thought, now is my time. Let me have another chance with Lydia. You can even see in the trailer that he's at the altar with Lydia. You can also see a wedding cake in the chapel, and you see that this is Lydia with the red dress from the first movie. Like, the first wedding outfit is on the wedding cake. And we even see her in a chapel in the red dress. Because I know that Jenna Ortega is wearing a white dress here, but if she was marrying Beetlejuice, it would be this white dress. Also, let's be honest, like, it's 2024. I think they realized that they kind of made him look like a creep in the old movie and that society doesn't like that anymore, or they're not okay with that. And they acknowledge that in the musical. There's a whole song about how Lydia's marrying a creepy old guy and she's an underage bride. Also, this is a fan-made photo. But I know they added this character, I think her name's Dolores, that's gonna be Beetlejuice's wife. I can't wait for this movie though. Let me know your thoughts and follow my TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube for more. It really helps when you interact.
I never watched the first Beetlejuice, guys, so tell me down below, man. Should I check that out? They sound like a creep trying to marry an underage girl. I don't think they're doing that in the second Beetlejuice.
What did Smith really mean to tell us?
Yo, we out here on vacation in the Bahamas. Another beautiful day. Check it out. Check it out. Boom. I want to talk to y'all for a minute about the power of perception. You see, there's a lot that goes in to being a hot social media content provider. For instance, y'all think I got time to go on vacation? No. I got social to do. Come on, man, this is blue screen. In fact, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I haven't looked like this good in years. I've been totally computer generated since like the 90s. You know what? This ain't even real blue screen. It's 2019, y'all. Nothing's real.
Tell me.
The whole message is just freaking computer generated, man. That's really scary. It shows you how far technology has come, and you can literally just make anything, bro, on the internet. Location, your face, whole bodies. Oh, that's trippy.
Do you believe was Disney trying to tell us something? Crazy, right? Some things are just an optical illusion, right? Well, is this an optical illusion? Look at that and tell me you don't know what that is. Go ahead and tell me that confidently and mean it. Because you know darn well what that is. You can see it. No, that's not a carving. That's a petrified animal from the days of old.
Do you see this?
Yes.
Do you see this?
Yep.
It's freaking nature! And it's freaking awesome!
Yes, it is. And I don't think science can properly explain how these animals were petrified so quickly to where they were able to preserve their form through all these years. And you know, that really got me thinking. There's plenty of statues on this earth that are thousands of years old. Now, what if they were petrified beings? Now, I know, it's just a thought. And yeah, I can't wait for the Mount Rushmore jokes. And you can joke all you want, but I promise you truth is stranger than fiction.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all. If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
Need to clean our phones, bro.
Even
ASAP.
the actor that plays Art the Clown vomited from how gross Terrifier 3 is about to be. In fact, there were a lot of really big production companies that wanted to be involved in making Terrifier 3. The creator ended up turning it down because he didn't want to have less gore and tone down certain scenes. To stick it to these companies, he said, we're gonna make it even worse. He even said that they're gonna make the bedroom scene from the last movie look like a little kid thing. Like, that is how intense this movie is going to be. That is the level that we're about to be on. It's supposedly an unwritten rule that you're not supposed to do anything to kids. Like when bad things happened to Georgie and it was like such a game changer, and so many people were like really upset that they would kid in a film. And I don't know about you, but I'm thinking of so many movies where they don't follow that rule. But they are not about to hold back. I don't understand how they can do like the bedroom scene and then be able to put that in the movie theater. The scene took 3 years to make, and it was so intense that people were either vomiting or walking out of the theater. But it was insane. It was so, like, an awakening. Terrifier, the franchise, is just known for upsetting the mainstream and pushing boundaries in horror, which I love. But one thing is certain, I absolutely cannot wait for this film.
Looks like Terrifier 3 is going to be pushing the limit. Again, man, I'm kind of not big into horror, so just gonna have to read the reviews about it, see if it lives up, I guess, to that hype. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, comment down below, man. Like I said, even if it's just to say hi, guys, man, it helps us, gonna push us into the algorithm, man. Like I said, we're getting there day by day, bro. So I really appreciate the support. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Follow me on my social medias as well, so we always stay connected. You guys gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.